Welcome to the Rogue Recap. Hot takes, cold facts, and zero respect for the official narrative. Sit back, roll your eyes, and let's recap. Rogue style.
What's up, guys, and welcome to SoundBytes number 8. We made it. It's amazing, right? Every time we do one, I'm going to say this. We made it! Number 8. Eric Eggers is here with me. Eric, how are you today, sir?
I'm apparently more confident in our ability to continue to exist than you are. Because it's funny, Lynda. I have a birthday coming up here in a couple of days, and when I used to do radio on my birthday, these guys would call in. I'd be like, "Hey, it's my birthday. Do you want to acknowledge that?" And this guy said something I'll never forget. He goes, "In my house, we acknowledge accomplishments, not survival." So,
well, when is your actual birthday?
It's Friday, June 5th. So,
that's fun. So, what are you? You're not a Gemini yet, right?
No, I'm absolutely if you knew me better, you would understand. I'm so bipolar. I'm the definition of a Gemini. Yes, ma'am.
I run from Geminis. I'm so glad we're doing a show together. So, Well, I think we have a lot of fellow lunatics on our list today. We would be remiss if we did not start the show talking about what's happening in the United Kingdom, which is anything but united. And this Henry Nowak story it's so sad, right? Because it happened in December.
Mm-hmm.
And it got very little press because of the fact that it was mislabeled as this hate crime gone wrong, that Henry said something and it was racist. Because the new thing today is you can be charged for racism, but not rape. Just so we're perfectly clear. And Henry was accused of saying something hateful to this lunatic. Meanwhile, that shit never happened.
Right. And now they've released the body cam footage that show, him saying, "I've been stabbed 5 times." The police officer says, "Oh, I don't think you have." And so
he says, "I don't think so, mate."
Yeah,
I'm like, man, you are a real dick. You're calling this guy a friend while he's laying on the ground bleeding out.
Yeah, I didn't know we were doing accents, but
right.
Yeah, that's
all day, every day. I got you. Which one do you want to do today? All right, I'm your friend.
But it was quite shocking. So, and this is a story that you're right, is getting more attention now, obviously in the wake of, being contrasted with what happened with George Floyd and the reaction there, and then even in England, they celebrated or acknowledged the passing of George Floyd and continued to do so. But Henry Nowak's death appears to be something they're trying to very much kind of sweep under the rug.
Yeah, and I think, everybody's got an opinion on this. But this story is getting international attention, similar to Floyd. The difference is Nowak is not a career criminal who held a pregnant woman at knife point or robbed convenience stores on the regular, right? And he was not, filled with methamphetamines or fentanyl or any other kind of substance. This is just an 18-year-old kid who right now, being white in the UK, is actually a problem because of the fact that they are so eager for the DEI woke. We all want to be one. I'm like, there's no such thing as being one. There's not assimilation from these folks coming in. It's domination. They have a guy out today who I guess was walking his dog, and he went before some council to say, I'm being harassed walking my dog. And they're like, we're not for dog support. I'm like, I'm sorry. Now we hate the dogs too, because Islam says no to dogs. Now England says no to dogs. It's really taking a very frightening turn.
And dogs are inherently English in terms of the culture, right?
Yes, 100%.
Think about 101 Dalmatians or any of that kind of stuff. So it's interesting to see that happened. And actually, you talk about domination, and I would say the people in charge are are responsible for the facilitation of this conversion. Yeah. Because if Henry Nowak, if I read the story correctly, Henry Nowak was stabbed with a ceremonial knife, like a sick knife, and I believe that those are, and Keir Starmer is now saying that he's going to permit those.
Yes. And here's the scary thing. So you cannot say a slur. You can be arrested for what they consider to be a slur, right? You cannot carry pepper spray as a young woman who may potentially be raped at any given moment, because the people that they're allowing into the country, in their country, they have been raised that women are less valuable than a pig or a dog or a donkey. This is not hyperbole. This is reality. And so they're raping women on the regular. The rapists are let go because they feel like, oh, well, we need to give them a chance to gentrify. What? So the rape victim goes completely unvalidated with no protection, but Mr. Samurai Sword is doing just fine from India. What in the God's great name? So we have this video here. We're going to play a couple of things from Southampton last night. But there's this elderly woman, older white English woman, and she's explaining to this reporter how she wouldn't even go to the police because if she was to come forward and say, I have been accosted, I have this or I have that, and she has to name the perpetrator as a person of, I don't know, whatever third world descent they've imported, she's going to be arrested. Take a listen.
Come down because they would hate for that to have been their own son, own grandson. So they're here for the Nowak family and for Henry to show him that justice will be served by the people. And I'm going to speak to someone now. This is Lorraine. You've come down to protest today. What is it that brought you down here?
Because in my opinion, I feel that the police are now so racist towards anyone white or English or anyone who even looks like me. I would never dare speak to them to report crime. I would not email them or phone them. I do not trust them not to be racist towards me. And at a residents' meeting on Thursday, I was not able to come here last Thursday because I went to a residents' police meeting. I told the police straight, I will never report crime to you. I will never speak to a police person alone. I do not trust you. You are racist towards the English and white people, and we will not stand for it.
What do you think?
I mean, there it is, right? Like that, and that's not like somebody on Twitter or making a viral video or anything. That's just like a regular English resident who may or may not have survived a war. And
Lorraine is definitely old school English.
Yeah.
Even the way she talks. I'm like, wow, that's like real deal. This woman has lived her whole life just going about her business and is now afraid to go to the very people that should protect her. And I have to say, and I said this to you, probably might have even been episode 1. I'm always confused by the people enforcing laws that they know are wrong. Like there's got to be a pivot point where you as a person of authority say, yeah, no, I can't. Sorry, I'm out. Right? Like, where is that moment?
It's like one of my favorite phrases is never mistake incompetence for conspiracy.
Yeah.
But I think, it's weird in this case. I think it's actually both, right? Like there is a conspiracy to sort of suppress, I guess, a certain like kind of racial identity, but all and suppress anybody's ability to kind of call out anything that's impacting that. But there's also some incompetence when it comes to just like critical thinking skills and people kind of trying to enforce the law, which maybe have been inappropriately foisted upon this civilization. It's weird. It's weird what's happening over there. And I think, whether it's that and then, you can get arrested for saying something online. I mean, what's happening in England is truly bizarre.
Yeah. And I think also, Nigel Farage, he is getting crushed today, right? Because he saw this tape before it was released to the public. Then it was released to the public because they were holding on to dear life because the last thing they want is a police officer on tape saying, I don't think so, mate.
Right.
Somebody who's saying, I have been stabbed 5 times and I am dying. Now, let's just imagine for one moment that that's George Floyd on the ground. And he says, I don't think so, mate. Imagine the wall-to-wall coverage that we would have internationally. But because he's a young white male and they've been able to hide it for about 6.5 months now, they're like, oh shit, now what? Now the tape's out. So then they blame Nigel Farage because he says yesterday, we need to protest with rage. This is wrong. So what did the people do? They went out and they protested with rage. Nigel Farage cannot be accused of those who take it upon themselves to go out of their own free will and let the government and the police know, guess what? We're not so happy with you killing our kids.
Well, they may have been protesting with rage. I didn't see any, and maybe that there was, but I haven't seen any reports of like property destruction or violence or anything like that.
Correct.
And listen, we'll get to the story later, but you got literally like the streets in London in that protest are literally safer than toilets in Seattle. So
nice pivot.
I'm just saying, like, so I think that
yes.
I think voicing, and it's kind of a weird thing. Just being honest with you, like, I don't love this story, the Henry Nowak story. It's uncomfortable.
Yes.
It kind of forces you to say stuff, but that seems like it could be misinterpreted. But I think that's the reason why people don't say stuff is because they don't want to be accused of being racist. They don't want to be accused of being hateful. And I love all kinds of different people, but it's impossible to deny what is happening because people choose not to speak out about this topic.
I also think that when you stop talking about the reality of things, I did a podcast the other day and I said, if we can't talk about this woman, so there was a 66-year-old woman, slight pivot, but relevant, who was murdered on an Atlanta train.
Yeah.
Now, this woman was sitting in a train car, minding her business. Guy comes up to her, career criminal, homeless person, lots of, drug and robbery charges, write the rap sheet for days, slices her throat, stabs her 18 more times, and she dies. 3 children, 4 grandchildren, all the things, right? She was literally just sitting on a train. Now, both of these people, the victim and the perp, are Black. It's horrible. It doesn't matter that they're both Black. But for some reason, when we talk about that very same incident, which happened in North Carolina on the light rail with Irina Karutska, with a career criminal, also stabbed to death, also sliced around the neck, it becomes uncomfortable because the perp is Black and the victim is white. Now, there is a ton of Black on white crime statistically, if you want to look at it and have a real conversation. But at the end of the day, there is a perpetrator and there is a victim. Their race should not matter, but the attention it's given suddenly makes it less or more relevant. And my point, to circle back to Nigel Farage, was he said yesterday that a police officer spoke to him on the condition of anonymity and said, we are told to police differently based upon the race that we see when we arrive. And he's like, what? He's like, that's what we're being told. But if you look at their council, their city council, it's filled with third world people who have immigrated to their country and now sit in positions of barristers and power. And they don't want people that are coming in from their countries, their homesteads, to be in jail. But that person committed a crime. If we can't start to have real conversations about this stuff, because it's everywhere.
It's like it's like they're going to do the new show Law and Order Social Justice Edition, because we're going to have this, like, there's a case that we'll talk about, this Milwaukee story. It's the same thing, right? Someone is released and not charged with a crime by this Milwaukee DA, who then goes on to commit an actual murder of a father of 4. And you remember, I think, we did the podcast last May. It was the 5-year anniversary of the death of George Floyd, and Minnesota's DA said, we are now officially taking race into consideration when deciding what to charge the prosecutor. So that's so everything Nigel Farage just said, a police officer said, is actual policy in at least one county in Minnesota.
It's
as a result of
happening in New
Floyd.
York as well. The sheriff, which I didn't even know New York had a sheriff, but clearly we do. So Mamdani's appointed sheriff has now said he does not believe in arresting Black men, that it's just a negative thing. It's not good for the community. I'm like, which community? The police are policing the communities with crime. Those communities won't police.
Right.
Anyways, I digress. Here's Tommy Robinson. So for those of you who know Tommy Robinson, he is a baller in UK. He takes no shit. He spent 18 months in solitary confinement because what? Are you telling me no? Oh.
Yeah, no, it's crazy. It's unbelievable.
Oh, okay.
This is just unbelievable.
It is unbelievable. Take a listen to him.
Even after the police found that Henry had been stabbed multiple times, they still didn't handcuff Digba. He was not handcuffed. He weren't handcuffed to get him put in the police car. He was treated. They took him to choose what food he wanted with no handcuffs on. Anyone ever been arrested? You're always handcuffed. Well, white boys are anyway. Why weren't they handcuffed at all? Why was the dying white kid handcuffed behind his back? Arms behind his back. He wasn't putting up a struggle at all. He was laying there trying to survive. Why was he handcuffed? Why wasn't Digba, once you found stab wounds in a young child, why wasn't he fucking handcuffed? He wasn't handcuffed at all. I've just read it all. He weren't even handcuffed. At all. Even after they found out I'd stabbed him 5 times.
And Tommy Robinson, I was shaking my head because he went to prison not for committing an act of violence, but for, I believe, calling out ethnic groups who are responsible for these rapes, right?
Yeah. He was one of the first people to come forward and talk about what was happening with the grooming gangs. Now, since then, a member of parliament by the name of Rupert Lowe has come out and did the rape inquiry, which originally was supposed to happen in front of a full room of press. And then they voted to do it behind closed doors. Now, they said that was because they wanted to protect the girls who had been raped. But the girls who had been raped had already said, we want to come forward, and have talked since. It's really upsetting. In other news, do you want to go? Let's see. Should we go to the Milwaukee story out of this, or should we go to the gays singing?
Well, I would do the sick knife story, the Keir Starmer thing, and then because it's all kind of related, right? So so Keir Starmer, like if this murder was committed, I mean the guy died, right? So I think it's fair to call it a murder. Was committed with a thing. Obviously, London takes their weapons quite seriously. Yet the weapon that was used to commit this is going to be sort of like permitted to continue to be held by people, right?
That's correct. And so Keir Starmer put out this post, and I'm going to read it precisely because I certainly don't want to misquote Mr. Keir Starmer. He's so sensitive. But he says he will not remove the exemption which allows Sikhs to carry large ceremonial knives on them at all times. But English women are being prosecuted and will not be allowed to carry regular pepper spray on them when they're out on the streets at night. So the English daughters and women and children are not allowed to protect themselves. But the Sikhs can carry swords that some of them are 3 feet in length. So it's not even like you can escape. If they decide that they want to literally stab you from 3 feet away, they can. And we've just had this perfect example. And they're out there saying, this is unacceptable. The protests are unacceptable. How about murdering people in the middle of the night is unacceptable, and police not calling for first aid or hospital care is unacceptable? How about that? How about that's unacceptable?
Yeah, I think it's, there's a phrase for it that escapes me at the moment, but, Spencer Pratt, as of this recording, Spencer Pratt looks like he's going to make the runoff for the Los Angeles mayor's race. And I think the reason is because he's actually telling the truth, right? Everyone sort of like wanted to play this game and pretend that the homelessness and the crime and the fecal matter and all the stuff like this, the deterioration was sort of okay, because to call it out and say it's not okay was deemed politically incorrect. And so he's like, no, this is negatively impacting like mothers and children. And I think ultimately it does seem like there's a similar kind of uprising and willingness to be honest about the social decay that's occurring there. But I think that is the first step to actually, changing stuff.
And to your point, I know we have this clip that we're going to play from Milwaukee, but I think the saddest part about this man, Dylan Plouffe, 32 years old, 4 children who now grow up without a dad, beaten to death by Daniel McCrae. Now, Daniel McCrae was let out and not prosecuted by Milwaukee's DA, Kent Laverne, Democrat, big shock. And he had been arrested for previous assault. So now he's let out, okay, and now he goes and kills somebody. So why isn't Laverne held accountable? I think we're at a pivot point where we have to start to hold the judges who weaponize the bench, who politicize the bench, and people die as a result of your woke ass feelings. So you should go to jail. Why don't you share a cell with him, since you think he's so, he has the ability to be rehabilitated? Why don't we start with you?
No, play the news clip, because I think they do a good job of laying out all the ways in which this guy was protected by this DA and the DA system. And then we'll kind of give you a nice little cherry on top of this.
Yes, sounds good.
And breaking here at 5, a state lawmaker from Milwaukee facing criminal charges, accused of threatening a fellow lawmaker if they didn't support her legislation. 12 News' Nick Bohr is live at the courthouse. And Nick, prosecutors say the threats involved social media posts.
Right, and Blake, this is not a lengthy criminal complaint we got here today. They aren't threats to do physical violence or harm. Instead, investigators say that the state rep threatened to trash her colleague publicly by releasing personal information about her unless she got in line behind her. According to a criminal complaint, the hard feelings between Sylvia Ortiz-Velez and a fellow...
So just to be clear, that's the same county, the same prosecutor. This is from February this year. So a state rep was charged with a crime by this DA for calling names and threatening to put stuff up on social media to try to coerce this lawmaker into kind of cooperating with her. So she was charged, but this guy who ended up committing murder later, 3 months later, was not.
And that, to me, right, this is we're watching a little bit of this footage as we're talking about it, for those of you listening and not watching, but you see just how I almost feel people are complacent or apathetic to what is happening, right? Like we're all so okay with letting career criminals out. We're all so okay with innocent people being stabbed at bus stops, 12-year-old girls being raped and murdered under bridges, grandmas having their throats sliced on a bridge, a refugee being murdered after working in a pizza shop for 12 hours. How many more of our children, of our family members that are completely innocent, they're literally just living their life, have to die before people who let them out, the perpetrators that is, are going to jail with them? Because I kind of feel like if you're not feeling the pain, then you're never going to change, right? It's this whole idea, like, if these people don't start to reap some of what they sow, the only people that suffer is us. So I feel like we're not too far away from what's happening in the UK. They always say the United States follows Europe by 5 years. I disagree. I think we're like 6 months at this point. I think we're there. I'm looking around. I was on the subway yesterday and I was looking at the people on the train and I thought to myself, true story, if somebody got attacked on this train right now, I would help them. I would. That's the other part of that story, right? Why is everybody not helping? Why don't you care about your fellow man? Are you more afraid for yourself than you are to save a life? I don't understand that.
Well, when somebody does help, they end up getting charged with a crime. So
Daniel Penny. Well said.
Daniel Penny, exactly. So it's wild. It's wild times we live in. And I do think it's also, you see much more of this in the big cities.
Yes.
Because big cities have like this kind of unchecked one party rule. And so that's how these, I mean, it doesn't happen like overnight, but I think it sort of drifts and creeps that way. And honestly, I think that's like, I think kind of helps explain it. Like in Minneapolis, everyone's liberal. So how do you distinguish yourself from being, okay, well, I'm so liberal, we're going to actually now start taking race into account, right? Like I'm so liberal, I'm going to let these guys go. And that's how you kind of compete. And that's the behavior that gets rewarded. Yeah, it's bad. But I think that's why I'm glad to live in Florida.
You should be glad. And now you got those great property tax benefits coming back to you. Total sidebar, but that's awesome. Good on DeSantis and your whole party for voting for that. Speaking of people who are doing good things for the community. So you talked about Pratt earlier.
Yep.
And him, kicking Karen Bass in the ass a little bit. Oh, that rhymed. I like that. Anywho, all that to say, I think they were surprised last night with all of the tomfoolery and the election rigging and everything they were doing and having this other lunatic in the race to split the vote. And he still kicked her ass. I'm like, so if we hadn't messed with the vote, which we all know they did, and we hadn't had like the drug addicts and the homeless voting, I have a strong feeling that he would have just won outright.
Well, by the way, they won't declare him to have advanced because, I mean, it's literally, I was watching CNN and I pulled the clip for something else earlier. Like on CNN, they had a whole conversation.
Yeah.
How long do you think it's going to be? This is like last night. How long will it be until the California vote comes in? And they're all like, well, 10 days, I don't know, 12 days.
Mail-in ballots, we got to look at those.
I mean, and even like Steve Kornacki on MSNBC was like, now listen, this is what the results look like now. But remember, there's a lot of mail-in ballots still to come in and we kind of have to wait. It's bad when Gavin Newsom wrote a letter to the secretaries of state being like, hey, we need to kind of speed this up. And then the elections are like, the election supervisor is like, listen, bro, don't don't tell me how to do my job. I'm working here.
The process, all right?
Yeah, I know. So I mean, it's I think it's good. Even Nate Silver is like, no, this is like some third world nonsense. So the California is, I think, being correctly lampooned, and the fact that they conduct their election so slow is becoming its own story, which I think actually is a good thing. That's what has to happen. You have to like be able to hold it up and call it out for what it is, right?
Exactly. And I look at Pratt, who went into, we have a video of him. It's not something that you can really listen to. We'll talk about it as we're playing it, but he's in this district, and he's just talking to various members of the community. Everybody in this video is black but him. And he's standing there saying like, how's your community? How you guys doing? He's giving them lunch, right? And these people are smiling and shaking his hand because it's probably the first time in a long time somebody showed up to say, hey, how you guys doing?
No, it literally is. In the social media post with this video that I saw, they said, listen, this is real LA. And it's been a long time since people have since elected officials have come here because it hasn't always been considered the safest part. And ironically, Lynda, it's really funny. So this is being held up as an example, like Spencer Pratt's trying to engage with all the community.
Yeah.
Jamel Hill, who is a
I
former
know her
sports center
well.
anchor,
Yeah.
African American, former sports reporter. She then quote tweeted that with a video of him, Spencer Pratt, being asked like, what is his plan for like Black residents, and he's like, look, I don't know that I have one. And she did it because it was like, I think she was trying to make fun of him, saying he doesn't really have. Imagine a world where the white guy, doesn't have to come to Black people and be like, hey, Black people, here's what I'm going to do for you. He's like, look, I'm here to listen. I'm here to find out from them what it is that they need. It would be wrong for me to sit there and tell you, here's what I'm going to do specifically for you. And that was sort of like, they try to get him on that, which I thought was actually a great answer. But no, it's good for Spencer Pratt.
I mean, listen, Jamil Hill has been one of those, everything is about being Black. It's not even any other race. It's just everything is about being Black for her. And I think that's really sad. When your whole life is about the color of your skin and not the content of your character, why can't I just hate you because you're an asshole? How about that? Doesn't have to be because you're Black. I hate lots of people. You know what I mean? They're all different colors. You just happen to be
But it is okay. I saw a video, somebody be like, yeah, I'm going to vote for Nithya Ratman. And like, why? He goes, well, because I'm Indian.
Oh,
she's Indian.
yes. That clip is amazing. Exactly what, this is a white guy. I wish I had it. If I find it, I'll play it. This guy is a white guy, but he's lesser known, so people don't recognize him.
Yeah.
He walks up to this guy who says he's South Asian.
Yeah.
He says, so I'm voting for her because she's Indian. He's like, well, how do you feel about white people voting for Spencer Pratt because he's white? They're like, oh, that's racist.
Right.
But he doesn't even what's funny is that guy does not realize that what he's saying, like the irony in his own statement, right? Like, you're just a walking paradox, bro. Like, you don't even realize that you are exactly what you're saying. Like, but again, it comes down to the whole idea that if white people do it, it's one thing, but if any other race does it, it's fine. And that's honestly the uncomfortable conversation that you're talking about, where people are afraid to have these moments of, in my opinion, truth and honesty. Mm-hmm. And we need to have them. All right. Speaking of truth and honesty, there is no such thing as a trans woman or a trans man. There's men and there's women. I was saying the other day that the 6 genders that Tallarico speaks of so often is man, woman, guy, gal, girl, boy. Very easy.
It's like, how do we get to 6?
I'm like, bro, just stop it. Like, I'm so sick of, he's so patronizing, but these people came out because June is Pride Month, because veterans get one day, Memorial Day, and or Veterans Day, November 11th. We'll call it 2 days, right? Those who we honor who have passed and those who are still with us. But, if you're gay and you decided how you like to have sex, shit, we're going to celebrate that for a month. You figured it out. Good for you. I could care less. And to be honest with you, when you talk to gay people, like the OGs, right? Just lesbian and gays, they're like, yeah, we're not about this whole Alphabet City acronym movement. Like, we're out. They are tapping out. So they had a little moment on June 1st where they celebrated the start of their month by singing. Do you want to see it?
Let's hear it. I've seen this. I haven't heard it.
It's something else. The baritone leaves a lot to be understood. I'll tell you that. Oh. Yeah. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. So I love the abrupt pan to the trans flag. For those of you listening, it's like this group of people. It's, it's the he, she's, shim, hers, men's. I don't know. It's a lot of people trying to sing.
So I missed that. So that was a trans flag. That wasn't just a gay flag.
Right. So whenever you see the black point of death where they want to cut off your junk, that's when you know it's a trans flag.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah. So the light pink, the light blue, and the black point of death, as I call it, is where they split the banana and where they can take it off and do all kinds of fun things so that you can go out. And as we talk, I don't know if have you heard about this woman in Australia? I don't know if we covered that last week, the potential pregnancy woman. I might just throw this in for good measure. Eric has to go today, so we're only going to be able to play one more clip because he's popular and busy and things like that. But there is this woman in Australia. Her name is Dr. Anna Cody, and I have been covering this for days because I actually thought this was fake, who talks about male pregnancy and that they cannot be discriminated against, and that potential pregnancy is a real thing. Do you want to hear it? It's a real
Yes.
thing.
Yeah, do it.
From the Commission's perspective, what is a woman?
An adult female human
Thank you.
and includes a transgender woman.
A biological male can't become pregnant.
But the grounds of pregnancy includes potential pregnancy as well as pregnancy.
But if they can't become pregnant, how can you then become potentially pregnant?
If someone is treated unfairly on the basis of pregnancy or potential pregnancy, then that is unlawful discrimination on the basis of pregnancy.
So if a bloke came in and they said, are you going to have children? Which is the same question really. And he said, oh, yeah, maybe. Are you saying that he could also claim that ground?
If he didn't receive the job because...
But they can't get pregnant?
No, not a man who is seeking a position, then it's not going to apply to a man.
Well, they're both biological men. It makes no sense. A biological man, you stated before, a biological man can't get pregnant. Am I correct? Because if I'm not, I've got to go back to school. I seriously do.
That's correct, Senator. But someone who is a trans woman may be assumed to be pregnant or to be able to be pregnant.
So what stops a man putting on a dress, walking in and claiming the protections? He's now a woman. You've admitted that.
Have you seen that yet?
I have not. This is what I like hanging out with you, because you always show me. Hopefully, you know, that people that listen to this show, that watch this show, I promise you, I hope you are exposed to things that you would otherwise not be exposed to. Which makes me sad, by the way, just that we will not get to the one of the stories that we had on the rundown, which is them changing the law about people actually exposing themselves and no longer being against the law, or the Seattle bathroom thing, which they spent hundreds of thousands of dollars on and now is broken, even though they tried the same thing 2 decades ago and the same thing happened. It's like, imagine a world.
Wait, do we have 14 seconds? Because I will play that clip.
Do it.
This is the Seattle toilets, guys. This is crazy.
Looks like somebody already broke the glass on these portable bathrooms, which is super annoying. You can never have any nice thing. I hope they replace this with something a little more durable. Yeah, anyways, that sucks. I guess we got our answer. It lasted 3 weeks before anything happened to these things.
So these are porta potties that they put in ahead of the World Cup in Seattle with their psycho lunatic socialist mayor. And before they were even able to be used, I think they've been erected for like 2 weeks or something crazy like that. They've already been smashed to smithereens. They cost the taxpayers close to $500,000. It's
hundreds
insane.
of thousands of dollars each these things cost.
Yes.
And they have been up for less than 3 weeks. And what's amazing is they did the same thing 2 decades ago, where they literally spent millions of dollars on high-level, fancy public restrooms, and literally the same thing happened. People destroyed them.
Yes.
So, I mean, and not in like the way, you know, the euphemistic, like we blew up the bathroom kind of way. No, they actually broke the bathroom. And it's you know, I hate it for Seattle, but it's another example of like, you can have the best idea,
yes,
but eventually like reality wins. And the reality is of what you've allowed Seattle to become means it doesn't matter how nice of a thing you spend money on, it's going to be destroyed.
Yes. Well, we're going to close this show. Mr. Eggers is popular and very famous, and he needs to leave us early today, folks. But we appreciate you joining us. You can follow us at Rogue Recap, at Lynda Mick, at Eric_Eggers. And we will see you next week for our survival episode 9. You want to say bye?
Thank you so much, Lynda. It's always a pleasure. Here's the making it one more week.